everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Bobble Pod with me, Mr. Bobble. And before we begin, as always, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe the podcast, and don't forget to follow me on TikTok, Instagram at Mr. Bobble Official. Last week, or 2 weeks ago, I think the cat's out of the bag now. We record every 2 weeks. Last week, I gave my analysis of how I think I did on the 2024 predictions. I gave myself a good 5 out of 6, maybe 4.5 out of 6.
I think we agreed on 4.75, didn't we?
Yeah, 4.75 out of 6, which is good going. And to keep in tradition, because you can't give 10 predictions, I said I'd stop doing 10 trends for a year. I'm stuck to 6 again. So I've spent a lot of time scouring online, listening to other experts, listening to clients, and put my own knowledge together, and I've come up with 6 new digital marketing trends for the year. And those are AI-led automation, rising costs of paid media, shoppable video content, podcasts are shaking up the ad game, voice search and audio advertising, which kind of pulls on from one of the trends from last year. And finally, going woke means going broke. I'm actually really looking forward to explaining that one in a bit more. I actually kind of like the name of that one. Going woke means going broke.
I feel that one's just going to be
cancel culture online.
Manny having a Manny rant.
No, it's not. It's not, because I think everyone thought I'd get cancelled after the Wokeness in Marketing podcast, which I didn't. And it relates to that podcast, though, to a degree. So the first one is, and I've done it in order of priority, relevancy to the industry. So if I'm talking more about the first 3, it's because they're more important right now. So AI-led automation. So we've talked about this before in previous podcasts. I've talked about it last year as a trend in terms of AI taking place into the digital marketing world. I've talked about my own Bobble Insights platform and what I'm trying to do. But AI, artificial intelligence, is going to play a key role in terms of what I call creating personalized content, automating campaign management. There's a lot of tools out there that are allowing people to bid smarter, to review SEO content quicker in terms of best practices, let's say from a Core Web Vitals point of view. Nitro is a great tool. Phrase.io is fantastic at looking at topic ideas and how to structure that topic in line with, SEO best practices. It looks at how best to place links to other content automatically. If we look at Google Ads, they've got Gemini. So they're leveraging AI to automate various aspects of campaign management. I'm not a big fan of what they're doing, which is why I've created my own Bobble Insights. But the things within Google Ads from an AI perspective and Gemini, what you can do is like campaign management, bid optimization, audience targeting, ad creative generation. Features like PMax are going to utilize AI to distribute budgets across multiple what we call Google networks and search platforms through display, YouTube, Discovery, and Gmail. There's even talk about Search Max coming out this year in Google Ads, not something we talked about in our 2024-2025 PPC comparison. So that's something new that we've picked up already. So AI is going to allow a lot more automation, but it means less control. So you have to do your due diligence in this. That's why I created Bobble Insights, into due diligence in terms of not just listening to what the platform says, but actually looking at what are the best practice elements you need to implement. That whole machine learning and AI implementation is going to be key, because there's a bigger problem with the industry right now. You've got a lot more businesses looking to reduce budgets but get more from that. So it's like budgets are down but expectations are up.
Right.
So there's a lot more competition. The market's becoming a lot more saturated. AI is changing the game. So if you're an old school agency setup and you're not implementing AI tools to improve your process systems and get that work done quicker, which means you can be competitive with pricing and stuff, that's where it is. So that AI-led automation is going to be key. If businesses, agencies, marketing departments start embracing AI-driven advancements. What it means is advertisers can start to streamline their campaign management process, improving what we call targeting or accuracy in terms of audience targeting, deliver more personalized ad experiences, enhance the effectiveness of digital marketing campaigns and budgets. The whole digital marketing landscape is going to, what I call, undergo a complete transformation. There's a famous quote that says a decade is defined by the midpoint. The midpoint for this decade is 2025. Mm-hmm. So we weren't talking about AI in 2020, in 2021, in 2022, started creeping up in 2023 with the OpenAI and Microsoft's investment, really started taking place in 2024, and now it's the main talking point in 2025. And the rest of this decade in digital marketing, the main talking point is going to be artificial intelligence, machine learning, AI-led automation. So that is going to be the digital marketing trend for the next 5 years. We had this with video between 2015 and 2022. For 7 years, video was like, this is the year of video advertising. This is the year of video advertising. But video only really fully came immersive post-lockdown with businesses like channels like TikTok and Reels and Snapchat and all these platforms becoming more video immersive. So a lot of it does depend on technology, but the technology is there now for AI. All right, the second one is rising costs of paid media. So this is a problem we foresee happening throughout the whole course of 2025. We start seeing it in 2024. So increase in paid media costs such as CPC. By CPC, I mean cost per click. CPM, which is cost per 1,000 or cost per milli, cost per 1,000 impressions. It's going to really, really, really impact your conversion rates, your cost per conversion, your return on ad spend and return on investment, so your ROAS and ROI. So the cost of paid media, we expect to continue on an upward trajectory. That's going to be because of more competition across platforms. Marketers are going to have to refine their targeting to be a bit more narrow and niche. Right. A lot more rigorous A/B testing that needs to be happening. Diversifying, should I say, paid media strategies to include what we call emerging platforms to maintain profitability. A lot more spend has to go into testing new platforms and testing new ways of doing things than actually anything else. So it can be classed as wasted budget, but we're currently in an economic situation where everybody wants to cut back. So what we're seeing in terms of trend analysis, in terms of like on Meta ads, LinkedIn ads, and Google ads in particular, is the CPCs are going up for the same keywords, but the conversion rate isn't increasing for that. So your spend in platform is going up, but your conversion rate staying the same. Your cost per acquisition as a result is going up and your cost per lead is going up. And what companies think is happening is my agency is not performing or my marketing department's not working or Google ads isn't working. That's not the issue. The issue is the significant increase in cost per click and cost per 1,000 impressions. And we have no control over that, and that is dictated by Google. For example, we saw them do this in a quarter where they had increased their CPCs by 10% across the board, but only let us know at the end of the quarter because Google are a business that still has to hit revenue targets. They're owned by ABC now, Alphabet. So they've got to go back to their shareholders. So what we're seeing is paid media costs are becoming a lot more expensive because everybody is investing in digital marketing, but it also has what I call a side effect to that in terms of like people want to cut back on spend because they've not forecasted that extra CPC cost. So it's costing them more. So if they continue spending at the same rate per month, let's say your budget's £2,000-3,000 a month on Google Ads, you are going to start seeing the number of conversions potentially reduced in or seeing your cost per acquisition increase. But again, that varies by industry and sector. If you're an FMCG product, your cost per conversion is going to remain low, but you should be looking into other things like shopping kind of like campaigns, which brings me on to the next trend, which is shoppable video content. So really, really started immersing in 2024. TikTok Shop, in terms of how a lot of TikTok content creators make their money. I got full visibility of this thanks to some influencers and content creators, and I was surprised at how much money people are making.
Right.
Which is no surprise why TikTok will not leave the US. I'll do a bit of a different snippet on that. But the integration of like shoppable features, video content, online shopping experiences, people go live on Instagram, live on TikTok to get products sold. There's I forget the name of the brand. There's a person who built a shoe brand of reselling of shoes just all through TikTok by going live and pushing out the shop. So when you've got platforms like YouTube, you've got platforms like TikTok, Instagram, enabling brands to embed what I call clickable products directly into videos, you're creating what we call seamless journey to check out. So this really trend really impacts e-commerce companies of all types and all sorts, really, whether you're B2B or direct to consumer. So what it means is you need to start investing into your brand and creative assets. The better the creative assets, the better the brand, the more likely they're going to click on the embedded clickable product to buy that specific element, which is what you want. Digital marketing is always split into kind of like three areas: objective, audience, and message. Now, objective in this case is going to be shopping campaigns, drive sales. Your audience is defining exactly who your audience is. It's going to be a key element of 2025 in terms of refining who your target audience is. But it's that message. All three have to work in harmony. In a year when paid media costs are going to increase and are rising, you want to stand out from your desired audience with good, effective, creative messaging. So what I'm saying is invest in your video content. Don't just rely on basic AI tools. Bring someone in who knows what they're doing. We could easily record this ourselves, but no, we have Josh. Josh is an expert from Dimension Digital. He knows what he's doing. He's good at creating the clips. And when people see our podcast from a visual perspective, they rate us to saying, actually, the production value is quite good. And you see that on TikTok, you see that on LinkedIn, you see that on Instagram. But we could do this ourselves. But no, you're the audio specialist. You're going to make sure that you're going to correct me when I get the wrong artist. You're going to correct me in terms of elements. There's a
lot of correcting to be done.
There is a lot. I've got a thick Yorkshire accent, and I speak fast, unfortunately. I need to slow down. I know this stuff myself, which means I kind of like not skip, but mumble a couple of words here or there. It's always good to be honest with how good you are. But I would struggle to edit that, and then the time and resource it takes to do that is another thing. So shoppable video content, tools like Snapchat, I missed, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, get that as part of your e-commerce journey if you're an online brand right now. The next one, which is, I think you'll like this one.
I'm game for this.
Podcasts are shaking up the ad game. What's your viewpoint on podcasts within businesses?
I think it's taken a while for this whole kind of, podcasts have been around for more than 20 years now, but it's taken that long for it to kind of settle down, and now we can actually see what works for who and where. So businesses doing podcasts a few years ago, when I go to businesses and talk about this, they just wouldn't understand. They'd be like, why would we do a podcast? That's what people do at home, talking about football. Like, it's not a business thing. And I think now it's really starting to come into its own, because people are viewing it as it is a way of creating long form content, when everything for a while now has been pushed towards short form, snippet. But actually you need the long form to go alongside that if you're going to engage people, and that kind of education piece, teaching people things, having opinions, that all requires long-form content, and that's where podcasting is coming into its own, alongside blogging and kind of more traditional forms of doing that, but maybe they don't engage a certain audience anymore.
Yeah, so the biggest rival to podcasts, the biggest rival to radio is podcasts. So for the first time, consumers prefer podcasts over radio.
Right.
So they're eating up a bigger slice of the audio market, which is key. You now got what I call a unique opportunity to really reach premium product or service buyers when they're highly engaged. So if you've got people listening to 20-minute, 30-minute, Joe Rogan's podcast is like, 2-3 hours?
About 3 years long, isn't it, each episode?
Yeah, 3 years long. You start it at the beginning of the year, you finish it at the end of the year. But but look how many streams and listens he gets. Look at the Diary of the CEO.
Yeah.
You know, how many, it's highly engaged audiences. So 3 years ago, consumers preferred what we call radio shows over podcasts, but today podcasts only trail behind playlists in the charts in terms of preferred audio content,
Right.
which is quite interesting. So radio's dropped a spot. It's lost it to podcasts. You've got platforms like, you know, Spotify. You've got Apple Music, which is now overtaken by in terms of like Apple Podcasts in terms of what's going on. So among Gen Z in particular, the number who discover new products while listening to podcasts has grown faster than any number who do this while watching TV.
Right.
So, or using social media and listening to the radio music streaming since what we call 2021. So that brand discovery via podcasts is trending upwards. So there's plenty of room for brands to get involved. Now, this isn't a pitch for you to come sponsor Bobble Pod, but potentially if somebody wants to. We're always open to it. I mean, our focus for podcasts has always been the same. We started in 2020. We did some over Zoom, but we didn't. Sorry, what we did do was we did the Bobble bite sizes over Zoom, which what we used to do. Remember the monthly networking event, and then after lockdown, me, Claire, Anush, started the podcast, and they then went on to continue running their agencies, and I redesigned it, refocused it just to be my and Bobble Digital's podcast, because it was always called Bobble Pod. But we've been doing it for years, but it's always been about educational content. I have hundreds of episodes that rank in the SERPs, that feature that people find, and still randomly I'll get someone come through the website, not all the time, but maybe once every like 3-4 months, saying, oh, I listened to this podcast, a new feature on it, and I'm really interested in this element, but I did that podcast like a year ago.
Yeah.
So it kind of shows the relevancy. Once the content's out there, it can be utilized. And
it's a library, isn't it? You're building up a library of fairly timeless content, as long as you're not just reflecting on like
some of it is
current
outdated
stuff.
Because the world of digital marketing evolves and advances so quickly that the benefit of doing podcasts, or benefit if you're a business of doing this, is you can keep up to date with the latest trends and elements. Like, you know, we did it 2024 versus 2025, and even today I've already talked about search max campaigns, which was not even on the radar 2 months ago. It kind of gives you show how quickly elements. So for us, doing podcasts allows people like yourself to listen, businesses, agency owners, individuals, people in the market department, to get the latest news and trends without having to read an article. You can listen to it on your journey to work, or when you're at the gym, maybe, I don't know, maybe, or before you go to sleep. I'm told I've got a nice go to sleep voice on a podcast.
I'm feeling quite sleepy now. So
I know. So shall we go into number 5?
Let's go.
So voice search and audio advertising, which this isn't adoption and an adaptation of when I talked about devices like, you know, mobile devices where search is going to be key. So in terms of voice search, let's start with that point first. It's voice activated devices like iPhones, Alexas, you know, Googles, you know, Androids, whatever it is, reshaping what I call search behavior and advertising strategies. So there's like a position 0 that's almost becoming created. If you go onto Google and you type in something, there's a generative AI kind of SERP spot that kind of links into, if you go to, hey Google, you know, what's the local bakery that's open between 9 and 10? It'll start coming up with, whatever you do, it's going to come up with an answer. It'll say, here's the top list. So if you ask it a question, say like, hey Steve, please explain what search engine optimization is, it's going to have a generative AI response there. That gets pulled into these devices. And a lot more people are relying on these features, especially when it comes to AI features like ChatGPT, where people are going in and using it like a search engine to get answers from. So, but you can speak into ChatGPT and say, tell me this. Yeah. And a lot more people are using more voice search level interaction with everyday devices, even to do basic things in the home, like turn on the lights, turn on the heating. It's becoming more regular. When you're in your car, it's easier to be hands-free and use your voice. Because if I need to make a phone call or do something, I'll just say, hey Siri, can you call so-and-so? And I haven't done anything, and my dashboard automatically splits in half, keeps the map up, but then calls the person.
You've set everyone's phone off.
You know what I mean? Yeah, sorry guys. But that's how it is. So devices like, iPhone, Siri, Google, Alexa, platforms such as like YouTube, TikTok, all have what we call voice commands in the platform.
Yeah.
So you've got physical devices where you need to be optimizing the SEO for voice search results. But then you've got platforms like YouTube and TikTok that have a voice command in them. So where you can actually tell it what you want to look for. More on YouTube than anything else. And they're targeted by keyword search filters. So you can do keyword targeting on YouTube and you can do keyword targeting on TikTok. So research shows that the keywords, trends, and hashtags users are also searching for, so they come up with an ad. So you see that on the right-hand side of YouTube. If you're on a YouTube platform, you see that as a pre-roll ad on YouTube. You now see like trending topics when you're searching on TikTok in red elements. Some of them are actually... that data goes into the back end and you can use that to do it, but people will then, instead of searching for it, they'll be able to talk into TikTok and say, right, latest trend around, I don't know, I don't watch a lot of TikTok other than my own, sad, but it's, you want to like the latest trend. Like yesterday was the inauguration, so people will be searching Trump inauguration. In fact, I think one of the trending topics was Elon Musk and him doing a really emphatic sign going like that, and I was like, mate, what are you trying to do? It's like, be careful what you do. But
bit dodgy.
Creative format messaging, it's like there's a lot of revenue to be gained from that, so optimizing towards that is going to be key. But that's why it's further down the number of trends, because not everybody in the SEO strategy or local business is going to be thinking about devices like Alexa search. Not everybody who's doing search or search-based advertising or audio advertising is going to be thinking of, right, what are people going to speak into YouTube? What are people going to speak into TikTok? It's one of those things that you should keep on the radar for the year and start A/B testing, in my opinion.
Right. And
finally, my favorite one, going woke means going broke. I like that. It just came to me. And I was like, the idea is you need to stop jumping on the bandwagon of the social society, is what I'm trying to say. Especially with your messaging, especially if you're a SME company, you can't afford it. Big companies like Bud Light that have really torn down their market share can get away with it. You can't. The current economic outlook for the UK is poor. So the last thing you want to be doing is alienating your core customers, your cash cow customers, by sending them mixed messages. I talked about the negative impact on that on my Wokeness in Marketing podcast, so we'll link that in. Go listen to it. Now, what it isn't saying is anti-woke or against woke or anything like that. It's just saying target your audience more effectively. Don't alienate 90% of your core business by targeting 5% because there's a potential market there. But you've gained 5%, but you've lost 25% here. So what's the net gain? Actually, it's a net loss of 20% in terms of revenue. So has it really worked? No, because you've jumped on a bandwagon and you haven't really strategized or thought it through. You're just thinking, oh, they're doing that, so we need to be reactive and jump on it. Not all the time is that good for your business, because you don't know where that topic or that trend is going to go. In particular. So having a little patience and seeing, is it relevant to your industry? Can you do it? There's nothing wrong with jumping on the bandwagon of something funny or a meme that's going out. Everyone does it. I mean, the best people are people like Aldi and Ryanair. They're really good at mocking and using memes to get out customers or complaints or to really be, hitting a hot topic.
Yeah.
But they're not jumping on what I call a bandwagon. Think about your audience. Instead, focus on leveraging AI and marketing learning tools to create what I call hyper-personalized ad experiences. Use that to create more of a personal experience with your core niche audiences. Not every business is mass market. Not every business is FMCG. Not everyone's Coca-Cola. Not everyone's Pepsi. Some are just basically Betty's Cafe around the corner. You know what I mean? That is just there. So you can't jump on that bandwagon because A, your audience is going to be as big, but if you get it wrong, you're going to get a lot of heat, and it could cause a significant impact to small businesses. And that's why I say just be careful, because going woke could mean going broke, especially in this very, very difficult economy. Focus and analyze behavior, preferences, and engagement patterns that you're seeing in your ads or your social messaging, and then deliver content that aligns with each need of the user. Don't just be on the bandwagon of what social society or what's trending and elements like that. Just stay away from it. 2 rules I have in the company: we don't talk about political issues and we don't talk about social issues. We're here to do digital marketing and deliver results for our clients. Now, people might not agree with that. I don't care. I'm here to run a marketing agency. I'm here to tell you how to run better Google ads. I'm here to get you better leads. I'm here to get you more conversions. I'm here to increase your return on ad spend, your return on investment, so your business can continue to invest in hiring employees and being a key part of the economic structure within the UK. That's what it all comes down to, and I want to be the best at that. I don't think my clients care too much if I'm jumping on a certain bandwagon socially or posting about it. I could have posted about Trump. I see a lot of posts this morning about Trump and the tech giants and people like Elon Musk and stuff there. It's like, yeah, you're just creating divide in opinion. And someone might think, hang on, what if you have a client that agrees with that or a client that disagrees with that? You're then making a particular stance on it. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be scared to give your opinion. I do. And a lot of people that tried to abuse me for some comments around the budgets when I did that post-budget breakdown tried to, but I can handle the heat. I don't care. I'm going to say it as I see it based on data and insights. I don't just blab stuff out of my mouth. I look at data and insights, and then I make an informed decision. You might agree with it. You might disagree with it. You might say my data is wrong, but that's called having a grown-up conversation.
Okay.
A debate. I agree to disagree. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Yeah, just be careful is what I'm saying, jumping on that bandwagon, because it could take you down a rabbit hole. And if the big companies have lost billions in sales and revenue from it, can you afford to lose in a tough market?
Fair point. So you got that. There are your 6 predictions. Which would you say? I think I know what your answer is going to be to this. Which would you say you're most confident about? I mean, the AI one seems pretty nailed on.
Oh, the rising cost of paid media, my second one. That's going to cause a lot of problems for agencies. It's going to raise a lot of questions in terms of efficiency and optimization of like ad platforms from Meta, LinkedIn, TikTok, Google Ads, etc. Bing. It's something you don't have control over. So what I'm telling you is watch the numbers. Start comparing CPCs from a quarter ago to what it is now. CPCs differ by seasonal trend.
Yeah.
So the CPC for like corporate Christmas gifting was quite high in December, but it's not going to be high in February, March.
Yeah, makes sense.
Like Valentine's. So seasonal keywords will be higher at certain times of the year. But other like more standardized keywords that we search for all year round, have a look at them. So if you're a business in a particular niche, let's say a tech company, and let's say your business intelligence, have a look at the word business intelligence, platform, those 3 keywords. Have a look at the trend in CPC over time. You realize you're probably paying 40 to 50% more for the same keyword, and you're asking yourself, why am I not getting more from the same budget? You have to innovate. You have to move with the increasing cost and prices.
I tickled myself somewhere in there because I just thought, might send Valentine's cards to all my clients this year. See what reaction it gets.
It'd
just
probably be the only Valentine's card I get.
Send them a box of roses and just say, I really love you.
Or box it to Fifi and put like a love heart on it. Do that.
That's a great idea. So question on that then in terms of rising cost of paid media. Do you think that ultimately leads to people spending more? Does it lead to people being a bit more savvy in terms of perhaps niching down a bit more? Or does it actually lead to more people concentrating just on organic?
No, because organic is a time investment, and I'm going to say it's a poor economy because we had 0.1% growth, and before that we had 0 growth, but no 0 loss. So it's not been a great 6 months, but the attitude from businesses is positive, which is great. But what it means is businesses are looking to cut back on costs, and there's an opportunity and there's a drawback. So if you're a small business and can't afford the increase in prices, you're going to get priced out, because the bigger companies with the bigger budgets will be able to take the number one spot in terms of from a bid perspective. So actually it's not fair to the small business.
Yeah.
So there's that concern. And I see more people cutting budgets this year than increasing it until they see some stability or growth in the market. And I'll talk about that in terms of the outlook of the industry in my next podcast. But yeah, so no, they won't switch to organic, but they may do if they've got the budget. I don't think it'll mean they'll spend more. I think people will be more controlled in terms of how they spend the existing budget. I think if you're delivering an increase in leads and conversions, you're doing a really good job, because you're really niching down and you're getting your audience right. You're looking at the data. You're making the right optimizations. That's not to say that you're not going to grow. I mean, we're growing accounts right now, month on month. You know, the CPCs are up, but we're growing it because we're taking the learnings and making the right optimizations in the account. But if you're not, you know, proficient in Google ads or Meta ads or LinkedIn ads, or not working with specialists, or don't have specialists in-house that are keeping on top of the trends and the analysis and the algorithm updates and changes, then you're going to fall behind, because all you're going to see is your cost increase, but you're not going to see that increase in cost in, you know, increase in number of conversions or conversion rate come through. A case in point, we've had a CCTV client come back to us literally yesterday. We did some work for them a couple of times before. It just never really had the budget to hire a full-time agency. He came back to us like, yeah, all my conversions are like not working. So one of the things we highlighted straight away today was he never implemented the V2 consent cookie, the Google consent element, which has been impacting elements. So Google added that in, took it away, added it in again, and it's caused havoc on Google Tag Manager and tracking within GA4 for Google Ads, Meta Ads, and everything in between. They don't know that. He's like, well, I'm adding in negative keywords, but I'm seeing a lot more leads come from India that I've never had before. Okay, so something's going wrong. Something needs to be fixed. You know, there's probably some malware or some IP that needs to be excluded. Is your developer in the element? So if you stay on top of it, he's seeing his cost increase, but his conversions aren't following the path. That's a great example of a client that has seen their paid media costs rise because of lack of optimization. So costs are going to go up. It still means you can grow, but you've got to be a lot more savvy in how you spend your money.
Or hire you seems like a pretty decent solution.
My team. My team do the work. I've got to give credits to the team. But yeah, essentially.
Which of the six, if you had to say, is the one that you're perhaps least confident about, or just not quite as you could see maybe not happening?
I think the last one, you know, going woke means going broke.
I know you said we don't get onto politics and stuff, but it's going to be an interesting year, isn't it?
It's
2025.
Yeah. I mean, Trump's president, he's going to ruffle a lot of feathers. Yesterday he's already announced there's only 2 genders. He's going to get rid of wokeness. I mean, so actually, will it be disastrous to follow the woke bandwagon? I don't really care about it. It's got nothing to do with me. But
it's quite hard to call.
It's hard to call. So that one's a hard one to call, because it is a stab in the dark more than anything else. Like, I'm thinking, it's more advice in terms of my trend is don't jump on the social society trend with organic posts, and what you do with your content is what I'm saying, essentially, because it can harm your brand.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see, and maybe by the end of the year we'll probably might hear from businesses that jumped on a certain bandwagon and it was disastrous for the company, but there's so many examples out there now.
It could be the other way around, couldn't it?
It
could end up with like
we're
sitting
like,
here in 12 months.
I was wrong, and I was
don't be racist on your advertising anymore. Don't be racist on your socials anymore.
I don't think you're allowed to be racist on your advertising anymore. There's a lot of policies against that.
Fair,
but it's not about
rightly so.
that kind of stuff. But it's like, you know, America's, you know, focusing more on like freedom of speech, which is good. I advocate it, but it's always stayed away from like ads. That's more like organic. So my job isn't just to give trends on just digital marketing, but digital marketing is so vast, it's like it's organic as well, organic social. Now we do some organic social and we do some posting, but we work with some really good partners as well. So it directly impacts, because sometimes if there's a good organic post that does well, we want that content and we want to push it out as an ad to maximize the likes, follows, leads, and conversions that comes from it.
Sure.
Sometimes a lot of gem content comes from the organic side of things, But you just got to be careful what you're saying these days, especially in the UK. We're not in the US. You know, people are going to jail for just reposting a video on Facebook, and I think that's when society is collapsing. So, yeah, going woke could mean going broke. Because imagine if I reposted something and then it offends someone, and it's come from my company account, and then the police are on my door. What impact is that going to have on company reputation, me and elements?
Difficult.
It's like, it's bad.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
We'll revisit these in...
There will be a blog on our website that goes through it. So have a read of that in a bit more detail. Hopefully you found it useful. Again, the top 3 are always my top 3, which I never really get wrong. I always hit the nail on the head. The bottom 3 are a bit more out there, but I like to be a bit more out there with my predictions this year. It's a lot different to last year, which is quite surprising. Normally what you see is an evolution of what's already happened. But yeah, I look forward to catching up this time next year and seeing how many I get right. The goal is 5 out of 6. Better than probably what I did in terms of the Gary competition. If you haven't seen that, look at the behind the scenes clip of that.
That was terrible.
Yeah, 1 out of 5. All right. Well, thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and don't forget to follow me, Mr. Bobble, on TikTok, Instagram at Mr. Bobble Official. Thank you for listening. Next episode is going to be great. I'm going to give a state of the industry and the agency world and the marketing world in terms of what's coming up for the year outside of actual platform trends, in terms of what's going on in terms of economically, feedback from other agencies and clients in terms of what to share with you.